It's recording. Hampton.
Yeah. So round 2 was Hampton Downs National Circuit.
Good, how are you?
Thank you.
I've only actually driven there, that was my 3rd time driving there. I drove it once about, how long was that? 4 years ago, I think, where I actually broke my hand. And then we had the media day before the season started, which was actually quite fun. There was full dry conditions and it felt good. They wanted us to go over the hill, down the hill and then into the hairpin as well, just to see if a lot of the drivers would make it or not. Obviously we had Taupo in between, and then we went back to Hampton Downs for round 2. We were told before the round that realistically it would only be the pretty much 2 corners coming off the front straight and kind of in the starting grid and going off, hitting the outer clip, and then first outer zone, second outer zone into the decel zone. There was a inner clip coming around at the bottom of the hill, and then you would be going up around the hill with another inner clip there, and then another outer zone from there. There would be no hairpin, or you wouldn't have to flick and reach the hairpin, which is good. So that was really what the judges wanted to see from us at round 2. It was practice, which was full rain, so full wet. So that was our first time driving in full wet there for all of us, which was interesting. There was a lot of slipping and sliding. So yeah, I mean realistically, you know, we were out there, first ones out in practice, and we were the last ones to come in practically. We didn't have any brakes, well I didn't have any brakes from driving, and I was pretty tired, but the car went absolutely flawlessly, which is awesome. So it's a real testament to the team and to the guys at Talk Performance and everyone else that's helped out with it, to ensure that we are out there and we wouldn't have any problems, which is cool. So it was very slippy, so you couldn't actually go into it full noise. You'd have to kind of roll into it. We'd go into 4th gear, kick the clutch, and then kind of load it up for the decel zone. The decel zone was quite slippery depending on the line that you took, so realistically people overshot it and just didn't make the next corner. From the judge's point of view, the inner clip, or exactly where the judges were sitting, they could see the whole area and through to the switch up the hill. From their point of view, that was the main objective for the day, so we had to really focus on that area. What I found was that realistically they wanted where the inner barrel was for your front nose to be around that, but also continue around on the inner clip where there's a little bit of after the zebras or ripple strips finish, there's a little bit of asphalt or concrete. They wanted you to keep going around that and switch at the very end, which would slingshot you realistically up the hill to be able to make that outer zone. We were practicing that for about 3 hours in the rain, and I thought we were doing all right. I mean, a lot of people were you know, not used to driving in the rain, or just didn't have the car set up properly or whatnot. In terms of car setup, we kind of left it as the same as Taupo just to test it out, and it was working for us during practice, which was great. Coming into qualifying, the weather throughout the day was really patchy. It kept going from full rain to dry to sprinkles again. Luckily for us during practice, it kind of kept the whole surface wet. But coming into qualifying, there was pro practice. Plus, the sun pretty much dried the whole track out completely. So we went into qualifying with no practice in the dry, and we tried our best. So my first run in qualifying, I kept the setup as it was from when it was raining, just to see if it would do it, because when I drove there last time at the media day, it seemed to work. So we tried that, but it actually had too much grip. So what happened is that when I loaded up for the first outer zone, it actually hooked up quite a bit, where I didn't have as much angle for the flick, which kind of slingshotted me way past where I needed to be in terms of hitting that inner clip and trying to get on the gas, and it just, I span out. Coming from that, I was a little bit disappointed, but I was just like, there's too much grip. Talking to the team, we put it in and changed our rear setup. So we went from 30 psi in the rear tyres to 45 at that time. And we also changed the rear dampers from full soft to middle way hard, which obviously gave us less grip, but that's what we needed. So we went out for our second qualifying. And it felt real good. It was way easier to drift into that first outer zone. Flicking back, which was quite stable, and we went around, nailed that first inner clip, which is great, around the where the judges were sitting, and then we flicked back and going up the hill, we got that inner clip as well. The only thing we fell short of was realistically when we went up and down the hill, we just ran out of legs to reach that outer zone there. According to the rules, obviously, our qualifying run's supposed to be the same as the lead run, so we weren't allowed to switch back. Realistically, we had to straighten up as we go past that outer zone into the finish. So that's what I did. Hearing back from Reese, my spotter, he's pretty much said that I got another 0, which was a little bit confusing to me. So I went and talked to the judges, and I understood, from their point of view, that last outer zone is a drift zone. So if I straighten there, that's a 0, which is fair enough. But I did ask what the other guys were doing. The majority of the field were getting 0s because they weren't reaching that outer zone either. So I said to them, well, what are the guys that are actually getting points doing? And they said they kept drifting by switching back. Which for me, I didn't really understand it when in the rules it said no switchbacks, but it is what it is. That's fine. But I asked them in battles, what are we supposed to do as a lead car? If, realistically, if you're working off the rules of switching back, and that's okay, even though it says no switchbacks, if the lead car does that, there's a potential for if the chase car doesn't know about it, there's a potential for contact or what have you. So I asked them, realistically at the end of the day, are we going to have a drivers meeting? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? What do you guys want? I mean, from the judges' point of views, I think it was quite hard for them to determine how to judge, if, you know, depending on the rules, as the rules were set then. My suggestion to them was either we have a driver's briefing, tell everyone that you are allowed to switch back before that last outer zone, so that way everyone's aware, or you move the last outer clip about 20 to 30 meters back, which is what it was at the media day, and everyone was reaching that. So I got called up to line up for my battles. The judges made the decision to bring that zone back, which is great, and I think the day went really well thereafter in terms of battles and everyone else. So that was really good. May have seemed a little bit frustrated at the time, but yeah, I think that was a really good call by them, so I really appreciate that. That was good. So we had a 0 for a qualifying run. You know, it was disappointing, but at least we got some sort of result in terms of, from the judges, you know, the calls that they made of moving that back. So I was pretty happy with that, and I think, you know, all the boys, or even the other drivers and everyone was really happy, even though we didn't know. We kind of lined up and like, oh yeah, but then once you're driving, you're looking at where you need to go and it's out there, then you kind of just place the car there. They also moved the finish flags straight after that last cone in the outer zone there, so it made it possible for us to reach, which is good. So yeah, going into the battles, top 24, obviously because I got a 0, I was up against Rody in his S13. I think that's like RB powered. You know, he's got a lot of power, but it was really good because coming up against him, coming into the initiation zone, he was pretty much flat tack, which really suits how I drive as well, which is cool. So in my chase, I came up against him. I pretty much followed his line. I was taking on a little bit of advice from Taupo in terms of not being so aggressive on the chase. You know, that was one of the things that I got told by the judges from the first round, especially with Jake, just not being so aggressive, kind of having that, you know, there isn't an active chase rule, so even if I get, you know, pulled off the line, then it will be judged on line, more so than proximity. So I kind of started to think, you know, just trying to get my head around the rules and how to utilize them to, you know, to my advantage or whatever. So we kind of held back a little bit, but I kind of followed his line, and he was quite offline after the decel zone, so he didn't actually get the inner clip, which meant that I didn't either. We stayed, you know, like about a car length or two away from him consistently, so I think it was about it was even 5-5 run. And then on my lead, I got the inner clipping point, which they were looking for, but so did he. He followed me in, and he was, you know, he pretty much did the same exact run as what I did. So that went to one more time, and then the one more time run with Rody on my chase, he did the same thing. So he went out again on that inner clip where the judges are watching. What I did, I saw that happen, so I just reverted back to the line that they wanted, went inside, went around the cones, and when he flicked back over the hill, I was late flicking back, but because I flicked later, like I went in, and then flicked, and then I could drive up onto him, which I think gave me the advantage on my chase, which is great. And on my lead, he didn't really have an advantage on me. Realistically, we did a comparable run together, so that gave me the win for our first top 24 battle, which was good. Coming into top 16, I was up against Aaron Hyatt in his S14.5. I think that thing's like RB powered again, or JZ. It was making a good amount of power, and it was his lead first off, so I followed him in. I was quite close to him. I was kind of pretty much side by side to after the takeoff. And then out of the blue, he kind of slowed down a little bit. And I was like, ooh, like kind of put me off rhythm. I tried to hang back and not get on the gas to go full throttle, otherwise I would have just absolutely jumped him. So had to come back, put it into fourth gear. He did the same, but even in third and fourth, he kind of rolled into it. I don't think he was full throttle, and he just big clutch kick and powered into it. Yeah, I think that kind of threw me off a little looking at it. I initiated and flicked back, and I went quite wide, or I felt like I went quite wide, so I kind of adjusted to go back into the inside of the track. I got the line that they wanted and then followed them in, and I was only maybe like, yeah, again, 1 or 2 car lengths back. I thought I did alright there, but on my lead, I did, for me, I did the perfect lead run. Like, absolutely nailed the initiation, the decel zone, nailed that inner clipping point and switched back exactly where they wanted it and got to the very outer edge. So it was a bit confusing when I lost. According to my spotter, he said that my chase run was messy, and that was feedback given from the judges, so it is what it is. I think, you know, it was realistically my bobble from the initiation zone to the decel, and then also when going out to the outer, he didn't actually reach the very outer edge on that very last outer clipping zone. So what I did is I kind of, because from the feedback from the last round about you know, realistically, if you hit your lines, you get an advantage. So I hit the outer zone, but again, running out of legs, so I just kind of shallowed up and then threw it past the finishing line, or past the finish line. So it might have looked messy from that point of view. But yeah, I mean, he got the win, all accolades to him. He got third for the day, so that was pretty cool. Bit frustrating from my point of view. I kind of felt like I let the team down, because realistically, you know, they were onto it pretty much all day, even with the setup changes and everything else. It was just more so me, I guess, at the end of the day, in terms of not being able to perform as much as I wanted. So top 16 seems to be a little bit of a stigma for me at the moment. Really want to get into that top 8 and top 4, and obviously if we can, we get into the finals, so that'll be good. Yeah, it's just we were doing a little bit of changes for Manfeild in terms of gearing, so it's a really long course. Even at Hampton, you know, we're in 4th gear the whole time. So in terms of Manfeild, we're going from a 4.5 to a 4.1, and we'll mess around with the rear kind of damper settings and trailing arm settings if we need to, and tyre pressures, so hopefully that's going to be enough, and hopefully my gearbox kind of stays in one piece. Still run the stock SR, so but otherwise, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to learn from Hampton. I think, you know, my strategy was from top 24, top 16, kind of just stay back a little bit and focus on line, but reviewing a lot of the footage that Piers from Garage Ponies filmed for us, it didn't look as exciting as it did at Taupo, where I didn't really care, you know, I was all in for the battles. So even if I lose, it looked cool. So going forward to Manfeild, I'm really looking forward to it. It is a really long course, so I'm hoping that the car holds together. And the guys at Torque Performance are doing a full nut and bolt check on it. You know, realistically, I couldn't be doing this without all my partners and sponsors on board. So the guys at Torque Performance, Infinity Auto Works, Phoenix Radiators, Fastmaster, Big Brown, Shirtstuckedin, Stewart Automotive and Fabrication Works, Hero Prints, Wreckem, Tumaki, and obviously Piers from Garage Ponies as well. So without you guys, you know, I would never have been able to get to where I am now. Really appreciate the support, and yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. So on Sunday it was just pro, but we had a trade stand up, 86Fighters and Torque Performance, which is really cool. So we had a lot of the Torque Performance goods and also 86Fighters goods on display. Same with Shirtstuckedin, because obviously with 86Fighters being the only distributor for Shirtstuckedin in the world other than Shirtstuckedin, which is pretty cool. Thanks, Casey. But yeah, so we had a lot of people come up and look at the car and just have a talk with us. They were really stoked. They were quite surprised we're still on a standard SR20 gearbox and that type of thing. And yeah, I mean, it was good for them to come in and have a look and see what we have, and you know, see what kind of range Shirtstuckedin has, see what kind of range Torque Performance has, and the services there in terms of dynoing, tuning, and just race car preparation, that type of thing. Got to rev the car up a couple of times just to, you know, keep them informed that we were there. So yeah, no, it was good. It was really good. I think it was very successful. So obviously we've got our D1 shirt at the moment up for sale. So, you know, if you buy one of those, then you go into a chance to win a free hot lap at the end of the season. Get online, our website www.shop.86fighters.com. We've got a lot of Shirtstuckedin gear. We've got 86Fighters gear. We've got, you know, just a lot of things up there that might interest you. 86 stuff, magazines, DVDs, yeah, pure Kiwi car porn, mate. But at the end of the day, I mean, it all comes back to, you know, I really appreciate everyone's support. You know, every little thing that you guys, you know, either even say to me or like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, really means a lot to me. You know, all the small things really add up at the end of the day. So really appreciate that from you guys. And thanks for watching.